Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog at stampwithelaine.com and welcome to episode 7 of 12 in my 12-week Christmas countdown series for 2022. Today I have a fancy fold Christmas card for you. It just stands up like that. And from the side it looks like this. You can write something in there. And this is make your own designer series paper. I'm using the Christmas lights bundle and the dies. These two dies and these dies to cut out the apertures here. So it's sort of like a peekaboo and you can see the cardstock underneath. And I did the same here for the front. Christmas tree was die cut with both these dies. This one, if you use that on its own, the pattern in the cardstock, but it won't lift up. So in fact you have to use both the dies in order to cut out the tree. The other bundle I'm using is the Spruced Up bundle. You'll find it on page 13 of the July to December mini. I'm using this greeting for Merry Christmas and this die to cut out the bow for the presents. The Lights Aglow Sweet Glimmer Specialty Paper. There are 6 sheets in a pack and they measure 12 by 12 inches and there are 2 sheets each of the Very Vanilla, Evening Evergreen and the Gold. So I'm using a tiny bit of the gold one and I've put adhesive sheet backing on the back so it would make it easier to adhere to the cardstock. For the Christmas tree I used the Lights Aglow Sweet papers called the Festive Foils and there are 2 sheets each of this gold one, the Soft Succulent one and the Cherry Cobbler one. You can see a slight pattern on it. This one's got snowflakes, that's got smaller snowflakes, and these have got little dots in gold foil. So to die cut the tree you need a piece 3 inches by 4 inches so that it will fit the die. Like so. You need 1 in the Soft Succulent, 1 in the gold and 1 in Cherry Cobbler so that you have a nice neat finish on the back of your card. The inks I'm using are Cherry Cobbler, Crushed Curry and Soft Succulent. Your card base is basic white thick. It's basically an A4 sheet cut in half lengthways. So this measures 4 1/8 by 11 3/4 in Europe. In metric that will be 10.5 by 29 centimeters. And you score at 14.5 centimeters or 5 7/8 inches. Then the fancy fold mechanism, 3 7/8 inches by 11 inches. In metric that's 10 centimeters by 28 centimeters. And then on the long side you score at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. In metric that will be 7 centimeters and 14 centimeters. So basically you adhere it to the card front like so, with a fold on the opening of the card, like that. When you open it up and stand it like a tent, you've got that fancy fold. I think I will glue that straight onto the card so I don't lose the pieces. Stupidly, I left the cover off my glue, and of course now it's all stuck. Make sure you're gluing it on the right way. So the best thing is to open up the card. That's it. Then for the inside of the card, there's a Cherry Cobbler matte layer and this measures 3 7/8 by 5 5/8. That's 10 centimeters by 14 centimeters. I've glued that inside so I won't lose the pieces. The matte layer for the inside of the card is basic white. That measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. So in metric that's 9.5 by 13.5. And I'm just going to ink up this large snowflake and partially stamp it in the bottom left corner. So I'll glue that to the inside of the card. I had to turn it over to the flip side and stamp it again because I smudged it. And we'll just glue that to the inside. Then you need 2 pieces of basic white. Now one is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. In metric that will be 9.5 by 13.5 centimeters. And the second piece is 2 5/8 by 3 3/4. In metric that's 6.5 by 9.5 centimeters. And that's for the front step, and this is for the back. I'm going to stamp the large snowflake in the top right hand corner, and then one in the bottom left hand corner, and do the same for the smaller piece. Next I'm going to use the small snowflakes. Sometimes you'll get the residue from the die cut stuck in the holes here. So my top tip for you is, when you're removing them, rather than put it over a bin, do it over your cutting plate so you don't lose your die accidentally. They're so small, you could easily do that. And I use a magnetic thing to put my dies in so I don't lose them, and then you just scrape that off into the bin. I'm going to place these little snowflake dies here and here on opposite ends, place my top cutting plate on top, and then go and die cut it. And then you repeat the process with this larger one, except this time you're cutting 3, top right corner and the bottom left corner. So I'll do the top left first. Now you repeat for the bottom left. So place your trio of snowflakes there, top cutting plate, and then run it through the machine. Now I'm going to take the soft succulent and this die and randomly stamp swap ink pad and stamps. So those are the 2 bits done. I'll apply adhesive to the back of this and glue it to the back of the card. Concentrate on the 3 even borders at the top. If you have a bit more at the bottom, it doesn't matter, so long as the top is even. Then you want to adhere this bottom bit to the step. So voila, it's coming together now. To cut a tree and the outline for the present. And present and the second tree. So this one is just the background, so you only need the outline stamp. And I'm going to move it across so that there's room to cut a present out of that. Now for the soft succulent piece, you want to use this one as well as this one. And it's best to put washi tape on this so you keep the die equidistant from the edges. Place that on top and I'm ready to run it through the machine. And now you're ready to glue this onto the gold piece. You want to avoid the holes. Can you see that? Isn't it pretty? And then glue this bit to the cherry cobbler piece, like so, and that will give it the strength and the rigidity so it doesn't buckle. And then you can glue it onto your card. So I'll turn my card this way so I know how far up to put the glue. Now you want to peel back the adhesive sheet, but you want to keep the adhesive backing sheet on the bow. Okay, and then pop this so that the bow extends beyond the cardstock, and then you cut the cardstock round it. Do the same for this other gold piece and just snip it off just below the bow. Attach it to this piece here so then you get a different coloured present. Apply adhesive to part of the present and stick it down. Put a dimensional on the back, a narrow strip. I've cut mine in half so then I can stagger them like so, and attach that on top of this present here, like so. I've taken the backing of the dimensional and I'm just going to slip that underneath here. I want to stamp my greeting in cherry cobbler. I'll fussy cut that off camera. So there are my fussy cut words. I've put dimensionals on the back, so let's take that off. Grab a pair of tweezers, remove the dimensionals from the back of this as well. And there's the card completed. So that's how it stands up on the side. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Thanks for joining me. And as usual, you'll find all the links to the supplies below this video in the Show More section. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest or Instagram. I will put a link to the blog post below the video. If you'd like all the measurements written down, you'll find it on my blog. Give me a thumbs up if you like this project, and I'd appreciate it if you liked and shared. Thanks for watching. Bye.